Most serial killers go to extreme lengths to hide their crimes. They bury evidence, flee jurisdictions, and operate in the shadows. But in 1969, an unidentified man in California did the exact opposite. He cut a piece of blood-stained fabric from his victim's shirt, slid it into an envelope, and mailed it off to be published. He wanted the public to know exactly who was hunting them. He sent letters directly to the San Francisco Chronicle and other major papers, including grisly trophies from his crime scenes to prove he was the actual murderer and force editors to print his words. Between December 1968 and October 1969, this attacker struck 4 separate times across Northern California. He ambushed young couples in Benicia and Vallejo, attacked picnickers at Lake Berryessa, and shot a cab driver in the streets of San Francisco, leaving 5 people dead and 2 survivors. He left surviving witnesses. He left physical correspondence. He left fingerprints, ballistics, and footprints. Yet, despite leaving one of the most dense evidentiary trails in criminal history, law enforcement has never been able to officially identify him. To understand why the authorities couldn't close the net, we have to look past the mythology he built for himself and walk the exact forensic path he left behind. His methods grew increasingly bold. What began as nighttime shootings on secluded lovers' lanes escalated into a brazen daylight attack. At Lake Berryessa, he approached a young couple wearing a handmade black executioner's hood emblazoned with a cross circle symbol before binding and stabbing them. Looking at this photograph of the car door, you can see how confident he was. He treated the crime scene like a personal ledger, writing the dates of his Vallejo attacks, the current date, the method, and signing it with his cross-circle symbol. A few weeks later, he hailed a cab driven by 29-year-old Paul Stein. He directed Stein to the wealthy neighborhood of Presidio Heights, shot him in the head, and calmly wiped down the cab before walking away. This is a view of investigators analyzing fingerprints. From Stein's cab, police actually recovered bloody partial fingerprints. They also collected .22 caliber and 9mm shell casings from the earlier shootings, and distinct Wing Walker military boot impressions from the lake. They even had a face. Teenagers who watched the Stein murder from a window, along with the surviving victims from Vallejo and Lake Berryessa, described a stocky, heavy-set man with glasses and a crew cut, resulting in this police sketch. Investigators held the ballistics, the prints, and a detailed physical description in their hands, but the trail went cold because the killer stopped leaving physical crime scenes and started waging a highly public psychological war against the police. This is one of the many letters sent to the press. Over the next 5 years, the killer taunted authorities through a steady stream of correspondence. He adopted a menacing opening phrase, "This is the Zodiac speaking," and signed off with his now infamous cross-circle symbol. These public taunts generated thousands of tips, pointing detectives towards several highly compelling suspects. The most prominent was Arthur Lee Allen, a man who allegedly spoke of a desire to kill couples, matched the sketch, and even wore a watch branded with the symbol Zodiac. But when police executed search warrants and compared Allen's data against the evidence, the connection collapsed. His fingerprints did not match the bloody partials pulled from Paul Stein's cab, and handwriting experts concluded he didn't write the letters. That exact frustration has repeated for over 50 years. Even recent investigations into modern suspects, like Gary Francis Post, hit the same dead end. A suspect might have matching forehead scars or circumstantial ties to a location, but the official law enforcement agencies invariably rule them out. Forensic science requires alignment across disciplines. A suspect must align with ballistics, latent prints, DNA, and handwriting simultaneously to withstand courtroom scrutiny. The investigation shifted from the physical crime scenes to the mailbox. The Zodiac began using the press as a platform, sending encrypted ciphers to newspapers. The first code, known as the 408 cipher, was solved by a local couple within days of its publication in 1969. The translated text revealed a deeply disturbed fantasy about collecting slaves for the afterlife, but completely omitted the killer's name. This 340-character grid of abstract symbols stumped the FBI for 51 years. In 2020, an international team used computational software to test thousands of patterns, finally cracking it. But it was just another taunt. I hope you are having fun trying to catch me. The decades spent analyzing these ciphers have focused public and investigative attention on the killer's words rather than his crime scenes. This shift toward code breaking allowed the Zodiac's persona to dominate the narrative, often at the expense of the physical evidence gathered at the scenes. The confirmed killings abruptly stopped after the Stein murder in late 1969, and the Zodiac's verified letters ceased in 1974. Yet over 5 decades later, local police departments and the FBI maintain this as a highly active, open investigation. Today, forensic science offers tools that investigators in the 1960s couldn't have imagined. Detectives are retesting the original envelopes, hoping that advanced techniques can extract trace DNA from the saliva left on the back of the stamps the Zodiac licked. They are attempting to replicate the breakthrough that caught the Golden State Killer. If a viable genetic profile can be separated from the ancient adhesive, it could be run through public genealogy databases to find a familial match. Decades of review have left these clues in isolation. No single suspect has ever aligned with the fingerprints, the ballistic links, and the physical correspondence at the same time. There remains one specific communication that resists all modern efforts: the Z13 cipher. It is a string of just 13 symbols that begins with the words, "My name is." Will modern genetic science eventually close the net on America's most elusive killer? Or is his true identity forever locked inside a 13-character code we will never be able to read?